So my name is Genomé Rodriguez. I am a forestry aide. I am here representing California State Parks. So I'm a forestry aide that works on natural resources, and I also do interpretation. So my specialty is communicating science to the public. I have a personal passion with teaching science as well as just talking science to people who don't necessarily fall within the scientific community. Yeah, I'm a California Naturalist attendee. This is my first time here. I'm actually pretty surprised that this program exists. I didn't know this existed. I think it's really important to communicate what we are doing behind the scenes for our Natural Resources Department for California State Parks. This conference is a really perfect fit for me because I work with the science, but I also want to communicate to the public the important things that we're doing, and so that's why I'm here, and I'm really excited to be here. It is my first time. I think yesterday was very impactful. I will say I heard Rihanna Jones speak, and then I heard Herman Fillmore speak. Both of them are representatives of the Washoe tribe. Hearing the Washoe tribal members speak about their own work and their own land, it felt like it was sort of a coming home because the people that are here are coming from a heart-driven space. And that's what I'm finding is very like, whoa, there's a whole community of people. Naturalists are automatically already very heart-driven with nature. So how are we involving the communities that normally don't have that as an inherent feeling when they connect with nature? So hearing it from the indigenous people who have been stewarding these lands for millennia, it's really nice to be able to have that come back all together and to see just them being supported in their own homeland. So for it to be here and then to see the Washoe people here be welcomed with open arms is really refreshing to know that we are coming at a turning point where we're seeing indigenous knowledge and Western science be combined because we all have a common goal is how do we protect this earth. I appreciate the different perspective where indigenous science or TEK does have a very strong spiritual component that Western science doesn't. And for me personally, the reason why I connect so much to nature is because it has a huge spiritual component for me. And that is what I feel is really refreshing and really inspiring to see that California Naturalists space is creating containers for these kind of conversations to be happening. Something really common that occurs when I'm talking to families of color, more specifically when I'm speaking to them in Spanish, is that their body language immediately changes. They become a little more relaxed. They see someone who looks like them, who also speaks a language that they understand. They're not so intimidated by the uniform and the badge. What I've found is that when they talk to me in English and then they talk to each other in Spanish and I interject and say, hey, hablo español, they immediately get really excited and ask me every single question they've ever had about any state park or national park or any open public land. They just feel that comfort. And for me, that's what makes it worth it, is being able to have an opportunity to story tell to people who would normally not reach out to employees, not go into the visitor centers, know that a lot of spaces, even though they're not excluding, they're not intentionally including. Climate change is impacting the people who are changing the climate the least, right? It's the most marginalized, the ones that are part of the global south. Which is, you know, a lot of my ancestors. My ancestry does come from Mexico, and I've learned a lot of sustainability practices based off of the way that I was raised. Sustainability is a part of the culture, and especially if you have the resources to do so, which a lot of community of color do not have resources, they do with what they've got. So reusing Tupperware as a common stereotype that comes from a lot of Latina communities, that is because we know plastic is durable. So guess what? We're going to use that same plastic Tupperware, you know, makeshift Tupperware, and we don't have to spend money on an actual Tupperware because we know we're going to use this thing 200 times before we toss it. And reusing plastic bags, all of that was something that I learned as a kid. That is something that I'm doing my part. And so as we have these conversations about the climate crisis, we know that individuals make a difference, but individuals that are informed that can push the policies is really where the big change happens. Where you spend your money, how you spend your money, and all of that combined helps specifically the Latino community. I'll speak for my community. The Latina community being informed about why conservation is important. So inherently, nature is a part of my culture. That's just point blank, that's it. There's no other reason why I should not feel included in natural spaces. But how we interact with nature is where that emotional connection, where that stewardship, where that spirituality grows in a community. And that, for me, makes it worth it when I'm out communicating to the public. Because the way that I recreate will be different than the way you recreate. How I practice sustainability will be different than the way you practice sustainability. The way I spend my money and who I choose to spend my money to is different than the way that you might choose to spend your money. But the point is that if we are doing it from a collective point of view, we're more likely to reach our goal than if we were all just focusing on an individualistic point of view and we're going to leave that alone and just kind of let nature take care of it, because nature will take care of itself.